Mickey, don't
Hello.
bark.
Hello. Okay. Awesome. We are live. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a great Friday so far. It's actually beautiful and sunny. I haven't been outside yet, but it looks pretty sunny and nice here in Toronto. So, once again, welcome back to Heart with My, a weekly Facebook Live series where I invite guests from all walks of life to join me on a conversation deep diving into their story, as I believe everyone has a story to share that we can all learn and relate to. So today's guest is someone that I actually had the privilege of meeting years ago. We actually also had some opportunity to do some projects together, and that's when I actually got to learn more about her and her passion and her knowledge in Feng Shui and her dedication to building an online business that can basically replace her lucrative corporate job. And she shared with me one of her goals was to eventually retiring her husband. I loved her goals because I wanted the same thing as well too. And, as I get to know her, I actually attended one of her very first retreat here in Toronto. And I was blown away by the vast knowledge that she has, not just about her profession and her industry of Feng Shui, but of being an online entrepreneur, marketing, everything. And, she was such an amazing coach. And of course, we have been keeping in touch ever since. We actually have kids that go to the same school as well too. So it's been an amazing couple of years just being able to watch her grow as an entrepreneur. And so I'm so excited to have her here today to share with you her journey. So please welcome Ms. Safrina Kadri, founder and consultant of Feng Shui and Prosper. Hi, Safrina.
Hello, hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. Within that short intro, I'm sure I haven't been able to cover everything because I felt that you are a vast of knowledge, and I'm so excited for you to be here to share. So, for those that don't know you and are joining, maybe you can start off with sharing your journey on what led you to now being the founder of Feng Shui and Prosper.
Oh gosh, it's been many, many years in the making. I'm a classically trained feng shui consultant and officially in business for about a decade now. But the story starts prior to that. When I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I remember back in high school, I was studying for an exam, but I always need sound in the background. So I always have something like a TV on while I'm studying or working, even now. So while I was studying, I had some TV show on, and they were talking about people who take MBAs, Masters of Business Administration. And I stopped studying and I was looking at that. I'm like, MBA. And I told my dad, I was probably 16, 17 at that time. I said, Dad, I think I want to, study and to the point where I get my MBA. And he's like, no, I think you need to be in communications. So, but that wasn't necessarily a bad advice either. My dad was a newscaster. He was in the broadcasting industry. And we grew up, certain nights he would do the English evening news back home in Malaysia. And um, so I still kept that entrepreneurial vision, but back home, I went to college. I did communications diploma, and I came to Canada and I did, I got my degree here. It was English lit, not my first choice, but that was what we could afford. But it got me here to Toronto, Canada, where I ultimately got to meet Mai as well. Um, but even as a Canadian graduate, I couldn't get the right job, right? But I knew in my head it that working in a cubicle office is not what I wanted to do. So I actually spent like 6 years in total, like 3 years while I was in university and another 3, 4 years after I graduated, waitressing. And I was happy doing it. The hours were good, the money was pretty good, and I loved interacting with people. And I have the gift of the gab, everyone would say. Um, but my sister was like, "How much longer are you going to be waitressing?" So she got me into work with the insurance company that she's with. Um, and that ultimately led to my next job, which was, selling IT softwares and hardwares to hospitals here in Ontario. The money was really good. Between base pay and commission, it was like around six figures. But it was very stressful. The job itself was stressful. And at that time, I was trying to build my side hustle, my feng shui business on the side. So I was burning out. I didn't have a lot of, a downtime. Um, Plus, on top of that, I had a boss, a manager who was, I have to say, she was an emotional bully at work. You know, things that were not my mistake, that I was not trained to do, became my mistake. And I was like, it was hard working there. And then my husband and I, we were also trying for our second baby at that time. And as much as I know, while I was there for 2 years, I had 3 miscarriages. And so by the third one, it was actually ectopic. And actually I needed surgery because it wouldn't like happen on its own. And it got dangerous. So I remember being in bed at post-surgery, and my husband's like, you know what, this job is stressing you out. Not just the stress, but I would like physically break out in hives. It was like visibly, it was visible that I was so stressed out at that time. And he's like, if you want to do the feng shui business full time, you can do it. Try it for 1 year. If you can't do it after 1 year, then you have to go back to looking for a job. Because obviously losing the pay, and it was good pay, right? Losing the benefits and the pay vacation, that was hard.
Yes.
And so I think I did the business part-time 4 years at that point. And so I was like, okay, the first year was tough. It was really tough, to the point where like it was, and we were renting at that time. Like for me, it was hard for me to come up with my share of the rent. So it was what I would say personally and business wise, the dark night of my soul. And that was when it really got me. I've always been spiritual since I was 15. Like my very first book was a Wayne Dyer book. I still remember that. My very first self-improvement book. And I've always been on the path. So that was when I needed to look at, okay, what's not working here? Am I, so I dealt with self-sabotage. I dealt with fear. I dealt with guilt, and all that. I threw the kitchen sink at it. And yeah, so, and also a lot of investments in time and energy and money, not just in the self-development journey, but also in the entrepreneurial journey. Mm-hmm. And so I am happy to say 10 years on now, 3 years ago, I surpassed my husband's salary. So we were at par. So he was happy with that. And then I managed to pretty much almost double every year after that. And so, yeah, I told my husband, give me 3 years, I'll retire you. And he's happy to do it. He's like, okay, 3 years.
Oh, that is amazing. Oh, Safrina, thank you so much for sharing. There's definitely parts of that story that I have never heard. And, just hearing your story really also tug at my heart, because I think every entrepreneur have gone through, the similar journey, very different in their own ways, in their own experiences, but no one has said, I made that decision. It was so easy. And look, here I am, right? Yeah. But the fact that you're here and you are so close to reaching that goal, the goal of replacing your income is one thing, but the goal of even retiring your partner is just, to me, that's wonderful. And hearing how your job, and I think this is where, as I hear a lot of stories from entrepreneur, where, it's not that the jobs out there are bad. You know, there are those who are blessed enough to have a job that they love, right? But there are those who are suffering, like just your story, to hear that, you know, the stress that you're going through and the fact that you had all these miscarriages because of the stress of the work that you had to bring home with you, right? And to be able to then finally make that decision to just call it quit because of your health, mainly because of your health. If you didn't, you don't know what would happen, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So tell me, I guess you already shared that. It was a challenging, you know, it was challenging to leave your corporate job to become an entrepreneur. And you shared your first year, it was pretty dark, but you mentioned a little bit about your book, you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer and personal development. Can you talk about a little bit more in terms of, you know, I'm sure the thoughts of many entrepreneurs during that first year, or it could be something new that they're doing. What then helped you kind of kept at it? I'm sure there are times you wanted to give up.
You know, the corny, not corny, however you see it, is they're like, remember your why, right? As much as I want to say, oh, my why is I want, for that first year was I want to, you know, make more money so I can, like, you know, help support the family, is my why is I don't want to go back to a desk job. I It was absolutely and like May was saying, for some people, doing the corporate gig is what suits them. For others, it's just like grating on the soul. It's like nail on, you know, the chalkboard. It was like every day I go, it's hard. You can see my my feelings about corporate job. I mean,
Yes.
it helped pay the bills, but
Yeah.
for me, it just wasn't where my mission was, my life mission, my life purpose. And then seeing through Feng Shui, I mean, it's changed my life. It's
Mm,
how I met my husband, really. It's how I got my first daughter and subsequently my second daughter. And obviously it's helped me with, you know, building the business. But my bigger why was I have this 1 year to make enough income that at the end of the year, my husband's not going to tell me to go back to look for a job. And when that 1 year came around, I was like, okay, so 1 year is up. And he's like, keep going. Right.
mm.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So thank you for that. Yes, knowing your why, and you're right. Sometimes it's about, you know, they said there are things we run towards and there are things we run away from. So
Yes.
your why was, I don't want to go back. So you had to get away from that, and that is a motivator in itself, right? Is
Yeah.
that, you know, I can't go back to that anymore, and that's
No.
why you had to, you know, burn that bridge, and you got to just move on. But what I'm hearing from you is you also took that plunge because you were trying to hustle and do your um, Feng Shui practice on the side for a while. But I guess it was tough. It was tough to manage a job and your side hustle. And I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs do that in the beginning. We definitely start off doing it part-time on top of everything else, but
Yeah.
we never fully fulfilled our dream of being that, running that business, until I keep hearing it over and over again, until you fully immerse yourself in it full time, basically, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was getting to the point where I had to choose because in that IT sales job, we just won like a government contract.
Yes.
I was already staying late till 8, 9 in the evening to finish whatever work that I already had, but winning that contract meant more work. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I was starting to see traction in the feng shui side as well. So it was like, okay, now I got to choose, right?
Mm.
So yeah, as much as that ectopic pregnancy was, you know, it's a rough chapter, uh, but that was what that was the catalyst to say, okay, let's just give this a try. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. And now, so I guess in terms of as an entrepreneur, a lot of the time it's also, I think one of the challenges choosing what to really focus on. And I'm curious about your own journey when you choose to focus on Feng Shui. So you touch a little bit about it. Can you share a little bit what got you so into Feng Shui and then deciding that was the business? Because you can easily apply it to as a part of your business, but you basically full-heartedly embraced it and it is your business now.
Yes, it definitely is. It was actually one of the sessions that I had with again, this is going to be really woo, you guys. Okay, prepare. So I had a session with an angel practitioner years before I went full time, and she said, "You're a healer. You know, in many ways, either you can heal with your words or heal with like energy healing or other things, but your job is to make people feel better, their lives better, and everything." So that became like my North Star. And I kind of fell into the feng shui consulting, really. I've always had interest in it, especially after I met my husband, with the help of feng shui. And then I met my teacher, my direct teacher, Professor Diamanda Huynh. And because she knew I had an interest in feng shui, and she emailed me. She said, "Hey, I have a certification course coming up. Do you want to join?" And at that time, it was a lot of money for me, right? And I couldn't afford it. And you know, at that time, my husband would not have agreed. I actually took the course without him knowing. I just said, I'm spending 3 days with friends. So during the day I'm gone, and at night I said, "So what did you do?" "Oh, we were just talking." and because I couldn't afford it, and I'm gonna get emotional here, but because I couldn't afford it, I asked her if I could do. I think I shared this in the retreat. I always tear out when I get to this part. I asked Professor Huynh, I said, "Can I do payment plan?" And I gave her a diamond ring. I said, and that was my mom's. She passed away wearing that. It's not expensive by any means, but it was hers. And I said, and it has sentimental value, obviously. Yeah. So I said, "I will give you the ring, and you only give me back once I pay the course off."
Oh.
So, and she emailed back and she said, "It's okay. You can do the payment plan." Because she doesn't do payment plans, but she made an exception for me.
Yeah.
And she said, "You can keep the ring and just come to the course." And so every week I would like interact her, e-transfer her. I don't even know if e-transfer, yeah, it was available at that time. Yeah, I just sent every week, I sent a little bit to pay it off. And so, but before I did that, I was like, I don't know if I'm suited for feng shui. And she said, "Okay, give me your date of birth. I'll take a look at your birth chart." And she came back and said, "Safrina, you cannot fail in this industry. You have to do it." And that's when like the machine started working. It's like, can I actually make something out of this? It went from an interest to wanting to change my life with it. I was only thinking about, you know, fixing my situation. But when she said I could actually make something out of it, that's when the potentiality of it, like Dr. Deepak Chopra would say, expanded. Yeah. So yeah, so that's and then I did an apprenticeship with her, and I followed her around as she did the her consults, and I saw the potential, and I'm like, and I told my husband, I'm like, she is making pretty good business out of this. I could do this. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that story actually got me teared up too. But what you're actually sharing to me is the fact that, you know, a lot of the sometimes we have a calling or a feeling that this is something that we might want to continue to basically pursue further, but our financial situation doesn't allow us because our priorities are with our family, just the daily basis expense. And the fact you don't know when you spend, whether it's a few hundred or thousands or tenth of thousand, that it's going to give you any return, right? All you're doing is it's like anything, like when people go to university, when you go to any type of program you decide to do it. But what I'm hearing is that you actually found a way regardless. You were so creative and you found a way to go after it. Or because you could have easily said, you know, it's not going to work. My husband would not want me to invest my money on this, and this could not want to this, you know, and you could easily said, well, my situation doesn't allow me to do that. But you did it, and you know, you did it in such a way that, you know, it's hard to for anyone just to be able to have that courage to do. But once again, I'm hearing the same stories where, you know, a lot of the times things don't just come easy. You're being creative. You have to deal with the fact that you got to invest into yourself. So that was basically your first step into investing yourself. So let's talk about that, because I think as an entrepreneur, at every phase, you're always gonna have that question of how do I continue to invest in myself? Like, how should I continue? Is it worth the money to invest in myself? I know by now that it is definitely worth the money. I know.
Yeah.
But when you start out, no one thinks about that. So can you perhaps share your own experience and maybe shed some lights? Because I honestly feel there are a lot of professionals and entrepreneurs out there who definitely have amazing potential, but it's a question of whether or not they're willing to continue to invest in themselves to get to the next level, because we know it's not something we can just do alone, right?
Yes.
It might take a long time.
Yes. So, especially being an entrepreneur, it is very true that entrepreneurship is the best way to self-development, because you're forced to do self-development. If you don't invest in self-development first and foremost, you're going to take that much longer to get your business to where you want it to be. We all have our fears, our self-sabotage, our lack of self-confidence, or even sometimes it could be like the nitty-gritty thing, like, okay, I want to start Facebook marketing, but I don't even know where to start, right? So it could be like the sales and marketing portion of the business, but you may have the best sales and marketing funnel out there. If you have things blocking you up here and in here, all the business building stuff can only go so far. You will see a plateau. That is guaranteed. Business is so much about mindset and also about surrounding yourself with the right people. So I've never been shy with investing in myself. So if you guys, and of course, investing with yourself, like let's say working with a coach or going into like an online marketing program, it does take money. So there's actually a quote, let me backtrack. There's actually a quote by Nelson Mandela. I am paraphrasing, but he says, may your choices be based on your vision and not your fear, something like that, right? When we stop from investing our time, our money, our energy in a part of the business that we know can make a big difference, it's a lot of the monkey mind, the fear, the worry, the self-confidence, all those things. We have to work on that, right? So that's the self-development part. And then of course you have to marry it with the right sales and marketing machine, right? Your lead generating machine, your sales and marketing systems and all that. It has to be holistic. And so, you know, in the beginning, you can start with whatever, you know, there are cheaper programs out there, right? That can give you like the tip of the iceberg kind of thing. That's fine. Make that your baby step, right? Let's say the Facebook advertising thing, right? Make that your baby step, but don't get stuck at free. A lot of people are on the free Facebook groups to get business advice or the free whatever. Any serious entrepreneur needs to get themselves out of the free mindset. Because if you only go for things that are free, then you're also going to attract people who want things for free. Right? Once I started investing 4 figures, 5 figures in my business coaches, and Maya and I, we were just talking about my 5-figure business coaches.
Yes.
That is when if you guys have heard of the term law of attraction, it's also when you start attracting the higher valued clients, and they are usually less maintenance. They actually ask less of you
Yes.
than the ones who pay $9 compared to $9,000, right? It's a different mindset. So you have to change your mindset about paying for a product or paying for a service. And the tail end result of that is that you would also attract people who have the same buying or spending mindset as you do. So yeah, like I have a social media manager and she tries to go for free software. So I'm like, just pay for the thing. Because free, then, free software, then you have to deal with their watermark or whatever. I'm like, no, just pay for the software so that our life is easier.
That's right. There are challenges when it comes to not everything can be for free. I get it in the beginning, you're bootstrapping, so you're doing everything that you can. But there are tools where you just have to pay for it, right?
Yes.
And just a little bit can go a long way as well too. So, I actually definitely learned a lot from you when I went to your first retreat and you told me how much you invested into these programs to learn marketing and sales. And you were not even, it's not like you run a marketing agency, but you know so much more than some people I know that are part of marketing agency, because you took that step to learn for your own business, right? And you told me how much it costs you to enter to attend some of these programs. So it's like, wow, but you have the knowledge and you were able to apply the knowledge, and it has helped you grow as well too. Now, when from talking to you, I know you invest in so many different programs, but is there any tips you can help people when it comes to choosing the right programs for them or the right coach for them? Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of us too are feeling we're bombarded, especially now when we're on social media, we're bombarding with everybody offering everything under the sun. And sometimes you're like, I don't know. Now it's not even about choosing. You had the intention of choosing. Now you're just paralyzed because you don't know what to choose. It's like information overload.
It's too many options. You don't know
Yes,
what to do.
too many options. Yes.
Yeah. Going back to, that was actually my part of bootstrapping. I learned Facebook advertising. I learned how to build a YouTube channel because I couldn't afford at that time to get an agency to do it for me. So instead of paying $20,000 for an agency to run it, I pay the $2,000, I learn it, and I do my own Facebook ads. So that I do my own copywriting, so that I do my own web page building. Well, my website did not look good, but it was a website nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
So that was my version of bootstrapping.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I think I had the mind for it too. Again, coming out from communications background, I actually want to learn all these things, and not everyone is built for that. So I think that was kind of the thing that was going for me. And in terms of choosing business coaches, business coach, mindset coach, whatever, okay, it is really important for me now to see what kind of a support are you getting from them, okay? Obviously, the more you invest, the more support you should expect. But like in, let's say, like the 2000, because most of them are priced around 2000, right?
Yeah.
For those group programs, like Facebook ads, memberships, whatever, they're usually around that pricing range. So is there like a Facebook group where you can ask your questions, like, and also read the testimonials. Look for the testimonials, not just the official testimonials on their sales page. Maybe see if you know anyone who took that course, right? Or for me, the one that I'm working with right now, he's got he had a few YouTube videos of, testimonials. He was just interviewing, just like this, right? Interviewing his past clients. And one client broke down crying. She was like, "You're the first coach that really, really cared You took my business as if it's your business. And I was like, done, you're my coach. And really that was true. It, like last December, I told him, I was like, I think I need a break. I really, really need a break. And he says, take a break. I was like, but I don't know if I can step away from the business. He says, you have enough foundational stuff. The business will keep running without you, but you need to take care of yourself. So for me, that was important. He was a business coach. He was also very spiritual. And he is also all about, there's no point in making all this money if you kill yourself doing it.
I like that.
So he reminds us of the balance as well. And I hear that in the testimonials, right? I hear that he's spiritually based, which is important for me. I don't want to coach that thinks feng shui is weird. So it was more that he cared, that it was, that it was a good support, a good group. If the right kind of coach will attract the right kind of group of clients, even if you're not talking to the coach himself or herself, if your peers are at the same stage, right? Whether you're just starting out, you would have the same struggles. To have the right peers, to realize, to understand that you're not doing this yourself. You're not the only one who feels like, oh, copywriting is so hard, right? So you'll feel more normal and you'll feel less stressed because you won't be like, okay, why am I so stupid? I can't figure this out myself.
Yes.
And actually last night we just finished, we just did, I'm in a YouTube channel coaching as well right now. And we did a breakout session where I have a feng shui channel. The other person has a tantra yoga channel. One is a tarot card channel. And we're like, and one is a minimalistic like Zen channel, right?
Oh, cool.
So it's the peer that also gives that value in the program, right? So when we were doing the breakout session, we're like, oh, like we could totally collaborate with each other and there's no judgment in each other's topic.
Yes.
Right? Like the one on the tarot, they're talking about being a witch. Like, I'm totally okay with you saying you're a witch, but other people might look at you like you're weird, right?
Yes.
So
having that community, right?
It's a community as well. But the kind of community a coach attracts, again, this is mindset, is the person that they are. They are the lighthouse, right? They're the lighthouse, and there's a stormy sea, and all these clients or whatever are the ships waiting to dock. And the lighthouse will say, okay, I'm the one to come to if you want, spiritually based business coaching. If you are ready to invest in yourself, if you're ready to do the hard work, if you're ready to put 10, 20 hours working on the funnel. Gotcha. If you're lazy, don't come. Some coaches are like that. If you're not going to do the work, forget giving me your money. So their messaging too, it will give you a really good idea of who they are, the coach, and what kind of community that's going to come to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then the money bit, you can figure it out after.
Just like you did.
Like I did, yeah.
As long as you have to go after what you want to find the mentor that you are looking for, right? Yes. So thank you so much for sharing about that journey. I mean, you're one of those entrepreneur I know that I personally know that invest so much into yourself. And of course, my coach, I notice a lot of the coaches.
I shock my accountant every year. And we're in Canada, and all the coaches charge in US dollars, and he does the conversion. He's like, oh my. But they're money well spent. Getting the right coach will reduce your trial and error. Working with the coaches that I have has shaved off years of my business building. Because I fall back on their wisdom and their experiences, right? When they say something doesn't work, I will listen to them because they tried it and it didn't work. So it's money well spent, for sure.
Yes, thank you. I am hearing that over and over again from the top to doesn't matter. I listen to Anthony Robbins. I listened to recently Russell Brunson talking about how it doesn't matter what level they are at. They're always having someone to fall back on because new level, new challenge, right?
Yeah. Yeah. New level, new devil.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
know. More money, more problems, but
Not necessarily, just different types of problems.
yes, I was just joking. I think that's like this old mentality. I don't have an issue with that's a money block thing. I've learned now that abundance and lots of money can be accumulated without having all the problems if you have clarity and if you actually invest in yourself, you know what you're doing, and if you are serving and if you're giving back to the community. So of course it's not always it's just different challenges that you have to overcome,
Yeah.
and some of it is your own mental mindset as well too, right? So because you're a feng shui consultant, it's not it's not very common that everyone would meet to me a very young and a very knowledgeable feng shui consultant. Honestly, when I was younger, when someone said the word feng shui, what comes to my mind is the senior master, that almost like they have this magical power of they're like in another world, another level. But since I met you, I just realized how concrete and how practical feng shui can be. And it's not just this mystical thing.
Mm.
So now I wanted to talk about that because you're the specialist in that. I'm sure some people are listening and are interested to maybe learn a little bit more about some of the misconceptions of feng shui. I know you've done quite a few videos where you share what's the issue in the feng shui industry and what causes people to be so confused. And not really be able to apply feng shui to really elevate their life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
If any of you guys are interested in feng shui, work with an expert or a consultant that is classically trained. And I got a little upset this morning because one person on YouTube called herself classically trained feng shui consultant. And I looked at her video and I'm like, no, this is not even feng shui. So
explain about that. What is classically trained feng shui then?
There's a few different classical feng shui schools. The more mainstream one is called the Flying Star feng shui. That is like the easiest one to get into, and then there are more advanced schools as well. But Flying Stars is the most common one, and I believe you can get books on that. Forget about the books that don't use a compass. Forget about the feng shui books that says your money direction is in the southeast or your relationship direction is in the, basically any books or expert that gives you generalized advice. There is no way all the trillions, bazillion homes in this world all have money corner in the southeast. No, it doesn't make sense. Every house has a different energetic pattern. And I say this all the time, the energy of your house is almost as unique as your thumbprint. Because everyone's layout is different. The facing of your home is different. Like a house facing east would have a different energy than a house facing west, right? So all those books that says every home will have this here, the relationship energy here, or the money energy here, or the career energy here, if it's generalized like that, right off the bat, it's not classical. It's not the way feng shui is meant to be practiced. It's been bastardized, diluted, raped. I call it fast food feng shui. It's packaged to make you think it's feng shui, but it's not. And it's also because they say, oh, you have to put a dragon there or a happy Buddha there or a Chinese coin there. No, actually, classical feng shui is about using elements: fire, water, wood, earth, metal, right? That is how it's done. So the easiest way to differentiate is it very generalized? Do they use a compass? And do they push products onto you? Yeah, that would be the top three.
I see. Oh, that's very helpful actually, because I think from a higher level, everyone have heard of feng shui and everyone think that, oh, it'd be nice to learn how to apply that to my life, but it's just like you said, like they probably start by Googling, reading, and then picking up some books. And then there's just so many information out there and so many contradicting information. But I felt that I was very fortunate that I know the Amanda as well as yourself now. And
Yes.
I think with yourself, I started to kind of now know, when I really want to apply and really understand more about Feng Shui, at least I know the source, as opposed to trying to go out there and find information and getting confused. I watched a lot of your videos where you have mentioned some of the clients who, have tried other approaches or books and weren't able to get the results after paying so much. And I guess it would have to be because it's not very specific to their own individual situation.
Yes. If they tried a consultant, let's say, and they didn't get a result, they actually they should count themselves lucky. In my 10 years doing this, there's been many situations where I had to go back and fix the previous consultant's mistakes. And some to detriment. A few of them came to me like almost bankrupt. And I walk in and I see a water feature in the southeast corner when their house cannot have water feature in the southeast corner. Again, a feng shui consultant trained in fast food feng shui. And I have another one where his very first email to me was like, Safrina, I can't afford you. I know I can't afford you because I already paid for 2 guys prior to this email. One had no result. And I went for a second consultant. 3 months after that, I lost $250,000.
Oh my goodness.
In investments. And I said, okay, that's fine. Just send me the reports that they gave you. I'll tell you which one to follow, right? Because I was like, the first one is completely nuts. Don't follow. The second one would have been correct if he did his calculation correct. So what he suggested to activate for money actually was the worst direction to activate for money. So within that time frame, he lost all that money. And I said, that's fine if you've already invested in the other two, but I'll give you a couple, but take away your water fountain right now. That's the least I can tell you to do, right? And it took him a while to dig himself out of the $250,000 loss. So if you have no results, that's actually good.
Yeah, it sounds like it now.
Yeah. And trust me, I've spoken to others where the wrong consultant made things worse.
Oh.
So
let me ask you that.
It is big responsibility.
Yeah. So let me ask you then, for someone listening, so would it be, maybe you can help answer this, would it be then better off where someone said, well, I didn't know anything about Feng Shui, so then maybe I'm better off not doing anything because there's that chance of doing something and it could go horribly wrong. How about the other idea where it's like, maybe I shouldn't do something either? I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
It depends on the personality. Some people are like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. That's fine. I'm not here to twist your arm so that you believe in feng shui. If you're not ready, you're not ready. That's my thing about with like client calls, when people call and ask for a quote. If there's investment, right? We were talking about investments. If something about them that stops them from investing in a proper feng shui consultation, they have to look within themselves why they're saying no, right? And sorry, what I lost my train of.
Yeah, so mainly I'm just curious, what would you, maybe you can answer, what are some possibilities that people don't even know about for the fact that they're not even open to Feng Shui. And I agree with your stance. I agree that we're like, as a profession, as a coach, as a consultant, we're not here to force our beliefs on anybody. But what are some possibilities that can happen once you are open to Feng Shui?
The possibilities would be less struggle, honestly.
Mhm.
And most of the time, I get couples who engage in my consulting services. Usually, it's one of the partner that's skeptical. One would be the one that brings me into the house, and the other one would be looking at me through the side eye, right? But give it a year, and this has happened many times. The skeptical partner starts seeing things happening, and then they would be like, okay, don't forget to go back to Safrina to update our house this year. Like the skeptical partner would be the one reminding the feng shui believing partner of keeping up with the feng shui. So because they, at least one partner was open to it, right? And they didn't put and the skeptical one didn't put a complete stop to it, then they could, like, the proof is in the pudding, right? So again, let the results speak for themselves. I'm not there to tell them to, like, give my sermon that feng shui works. Let them see the results. But if someone is not open to it, then that's just their journey. If they are open to it, then I recommend you find the right resource, right? Especially resource that can be traced back to Asia. Okay. I know this sounds bad. Don't go for a consultant that is trained from a school that doesn't have any credentials.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So like my lineage, for instance, my great grandmaster was a very revered grandmaster in China. I'm very grateful to be part of that lineage, right? And just like a coach, I am able to rely and fall back on their decades and decades and decades of experience passed down from generation to generation of disciples. So you look at the history of the teachers or the consultants training. Again, it's not foolproof, but at least it's something. Because not most schools that come up from Asia would be pretty legit. But there's a couple that it's more a marketing. They're great at their marketing.
Yes.
But it's actually still fast food for most part. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, for those of you guys that are listening and are curious about more on Safrina thoughts on Feng Shui, you can follow her on her YouTube channel, Feng Shui and Prosper, and you'll get a lot of really amazing, refreshing actually knowledge, because I remember when I started watching your video, I was like, oh, I didn't even know this. I didn't even know that. I definitely am someone who, I do believe in Feng Shui, because I've been told of my mom have shared stories in her own families back in Vietnam, where my grandfather have made some changes based on Feng Shui consultant, to even like the graves, just different things in the house that have changed their life, changed their entire family, in terms of their wealth, like tremendously. I honestly didn't really know what to take of that, but as I've seen, not just families, but I've seen individuals, very successful individual, and then organizations, and then a whole country that truly embrace Feng Shui, and you can see what that results can come out of, right? And for me, I believe in energy flows, right? And there's a lot of that, and I believe in all of that, so it makes sense to me. There is the science behind it. So definitely. So before we wrapped up for this session, I'm curious, it's a year of the ox, and for all of those that do believe in Feng Shui and believe in the Chinese astrology, is there any particular thing that you can share with us that we should kind of like be aware, or even just kind of food for thoughts when it comes to this year in Feng Shui?
So one very important thing, and this is actually, I know earlier I said no generalized Feng Shui.
Yes, I know.
But
I was
this part, But this part is actually generalized, where the most afflicted direction this year is in the southeast for everyone. So if your office, your front door, your kitchen, or your bedroom is in the southeast part of your home, you need to watch out. Okay. I can't give specific. You can place a salt cure. You can Google feng shui salt cure. There's a few different ways to do that. That's the very least that you can do. There are other remedies, but before I give out that prescription, I need more information about your home. So I'm not going to go there. But the generalized remedy would be at least put the salt cure in the southeast corner. If it's like a whatever occasional room that you hardly use, then that's not an issue. But if it's an important room, then you need to watch for that.
When
And
you say an
following
important
that,
room, would that be a bedroom? Would that be
bedroom, kitchen, front door, and especially now with COVID, everyone working from home, is wherever you're working.
okay?
If it's you don't want these in the southeast right now. If it is in the southeast, you put the salt cure.
Gotcha. So the door normally just faces one direction. So when you say southeast, meaning if there's a chance that it's in both directions. Sorry, I'm a little.
Oh, it can be like if you. I don't know if you want me to draw on the whiteboard, but
No, you can describe. So it's just a door, right? So when you said when a door is facing southeast, you mean it's either south or it's either east, or it's very specific in because of the way that the street lays out.
No, it's more the door. So if you're standing at the door,
yeah.
If you're standing at the door and like, okay, most of you guys have a smartphone, right? With a compass. Yeah. If you're standing at the door and you're looking out the street,
yeah.
If it's showing you southeast, then your door is facing southeast.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yes.
But if your door is in the southeast part of your home,
yes.
So because some doors are off the side, right? Not all main doors are like right in the middle. Yes. of the wall. So if your door is in the southeast area of the house, that's an issue as well.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. It makes sense now as you said that. Okay. So so because it is the year of the ox, so that's something to watch out for.
Yeah. So year of the ox, that's just the energy that's shifted for this year, and that is the most afflicted one. And also don't sit facing southeast this year, especially when you're at work, right? Like for me, if I sit down, I'm looking at the computer, at least 6 hours a day. I don't want to be facing southeast either.
I see. Yeah. So as long as you're not facing southeast, your back can be, but as long as you face whatever other directions, because I guess you're getting that energy.
Yes.
As well. That's a great tip, actually. So thank you so much, Safrina. I feel we can definitely, as always, go on as there's a lot to talk about entrepreneurship on its own, and then of course Feng Shui as well too. But thank you so much for sharing in the last over 45 minutes. I've kind of learned quite a bit, and I hope everyone watching was able to learn as well too, especially hearing about Safrina journey of up and down and where she is at today. And if you love Feng Shui, or you're curious about Feng Shui, or you're interested, you can definitely follow her website, which is fengshuiandprosper.com, as well as her YouTube channel. She does a video, I believe, weekly. Is that correct, Safrina?
Yes, that's the plan. Now that I'm on my YouTube coaching program, yes, that's the plan.
Yeah. And she has 2 kids and with no babysitters. So you're doing quite a lot as well, being a mom, being an entrepreneur. But it amazes me that, you continue to, really shine through and just set that example. So for this year, I also wish you much success. And I know you're constantly pushing yourself. And I know there's always that fear, but to me, you're an amazing example of just having that courage and just do it, whether you have fear or not, and just, be creative and figure it out. So thank you for joining us today. And for everyone that's watching, thank
Thanks
you.
so much for having me. Yeah.
No problem. And for everyone that's watching, thank you once again for tuning in with my Heart to Heart weekly lives. So I will see you in the next episode, in the next Friday. So have a great day. Enjoy